Hi kids, it's Ms. Gutierrez here. It is day 4, or I'm sorry, it is not day 4, it is day 3 of Causes of the American Revolution. Yesterday I had a student ask me, why are we going back and doing stuff we already did? Well, at this point in time, we would have been done with all of our new curriculum for the year, and we would just be reviewing our the 15-day plan for the STAR test. But since we don't have a STAR test, we have a little bit more time to go back into the areas that maybe we didn't get complete hold of throughout the year. So one of the areas is causes of the American Revolution, and we are on day 3. I'm going to go ahead and jump into it. I've already set up my notes. Day 3 title. I have my subtitle, Effects of the F and I War, and we're going to take a look into that today. If you remember, the war had just finished. William Pitt said, the British will pay for everything, and then the British colonists, will pay us back. Will pay the crown back, right? So some of the effects of the war you're going to see, and we've talked about this in the past, was that King George III was left with a lot of war debt. Debt meaning money that is owed, right? So the British needed to come up with an idea. So the first thing says, after the French and Indian War, the British were in debt and needed money. An easy way of rewriting this is the British, the British left in debt after F and I War. That's a really, really, really simple way of just abbreviating what's going on there. Okay, next one, and I made my text a little bit bigger so you all can see it better on your videos. Okay, the next one. The British decided to pass more taxes on the colonists and punish the colonists who smuggled goods. Remember, they passed all these taxes like the Stamp Act, the Tea Act, the Sugar Act, all these acts that we learned about that really created discomfort on the British colonists because they're having to pay extra for things that they were used to getting for cheap from a different country. Okay. So I'm going to write British pass taxes on colonists as punishment. Okay. It was punishment to the colonists. It was kind of saying, we had to defend you in war, so now you need to pay back what the British crown owes in debt, right? But the thing was that many of the colonists actually lost their lives and fought in the French and Indian War without any formal training. And then in 1767, our wonderful King George III issues the Writs of Assistance, which allowed British officers to search any location for smuggled goods. Now, we've talked about this in our Constitution. Within the Bill of Rights, we have something that prevents us from the government coming in to search without a warrant. That is the Fourth Amendment, right? We always ask, oh, you want to come in? What for? Um, do you have a warrant? Now, back then in 1767, under the British Crown, several of the rights that British people enjoyed across the ocean did not transfer over to the people in the British colonies. So I'm going to write the Writs of Assistance allowed for illegal searches. And if they found smuggled goods, like smuggled sugar, smuggled molasses, or smuggled rum, that colonist would end up tried, possibly put into jail. Okay, and as a result of all this, the colonists began to greatly dislike the British. So I'm going to write that colonists grew hateful. Really, they were hateful. They grew bitter towards the British crown. And you had a lot of colonists who struggled with this because several of the colonists, remember, they are British people themselves, So to deny the crown might be an issue for them, right? Because that's their home. That would be like us saying, oh, the United States passed a tax, I can't identify as an American anymore. They still identified as British. So it was a really hard struggle for the colonists at the time. Okay, here's what I want to do. I'm going to go ahead and insert a image. Many times, a lot of the taxes basically looked like parchment papers, and they were announcements that basically told colonists, hey, you're not allowed to trade with this country anymore. And also, we're taxing you on tea or we're taxing you on sugar. And if you trade with any country, that's considered smuggling goods. Okay, okay, we're going to talk a little bit about British taxes. Okay, British taxes. So we know that we covered several taxes, and you can see them here, and they kind of talk about the different taxes that the colonists had to endure as payback for the French and Indian War. One of the very, very first ones is going to be in 1763. And in this tax, the Sugar Act, it was called the Sugar Act, it lowered the tax on sugar but allowed officers to take goods from smugglers without having to go to court. So this meant if you were trading with, let's say, the Caribbean islands, right, which are not part of the British Crown at the time, the British territory, and you took some sugar from them or sugar cane or whatever it may have been, and the authorities found you, they had the ability to be able to take that good from you because it did not come from the British Crown or did not come from Britain. So the Sugar Act, it lowered the price of sugar, but limited trade with other countries. People became smugglers. Smugglers means to sneak something into the country without a legal reason or a legal ability. Okay, and then in 1765, you have another act that gets put into place. It's called the Stamp Act. And you'll see this on all of the documents. Anything that is official required this Stamp Act. And you can see the cost of it was 1 penny, which back then was a pretty significant price. So the Stamp Act, it placed a tax on all paper goods, only in the colonies, just for the colonists. Next one. Okay, the next one in 1766. We did not talk about this in the fall because we normally don't, but there's an act called the Declaratory Act, and it declared that Parliament had the right to tax colonists if they wanted. So, Parliament being the legislative body in Britain across the ocean, taxing colonists without any representation whatsoever. So in 1776, we have the Declaratory Act, gave power to Parliament to tax anything, really. If they wanted to tax bread, they could tax grains, you know. If they wanted to tax rum, they could put a tax on rum. Whatever it is that they wanted to tax, they could. They had that unlimited power, which is prevented in our Constitution. Okay, and then 1767, you finally have the Townshend Acts. Because they're able to pass a tax on basically anything they want to, they say, okay, let's extend our powers a bit. So the Townshend Acts, you see a lot of taxes on glass, tea, paper, and lead, which today we might think, that doesn't seem like something significant that we would buy every day. But back then, they would use glass, tea, paper, and lead all the time. So it was a constant tax that they were having to endure. I don't even think you can buy like real lead at this point. I don't know. Ask your parents. I'm curious to find out. But I know like pencils, they're now made out of graphite. They're no longer made out of lead because lead poisoning can be so severe. And then paints at the time were lead based. Um, question if you know the formula for lead, the what is it called? The chem symbol for lead, let me know. Okay. But anyway, 1767. So here we have all these taxes going on, which are going to aggravate and upset the colonists even more to the point where they're going to want to go ahead and declare their independence from Great Britain, especially since the king has been ignoring them and they've experienced solitary neglect. Okay, guys, today we talked about the effects of the F&I War and how war debt caused colonists to grow bitter because they were having to pay through taxes. Okay, we talked about the writs of assistance, which were passed by King George III, which allowed his soldiers into the house to do illegal searches. And then we talked about the different taxes that the British imposed on the colonists, and all these taxes the colonists would fight back by protesting and saying that it was taxation without representation. And at this point, because the colonists were fed up and didn't want to pay taxes, they would definitely smuggle things into the colonies. So smuggling became a very strong practice amongst the colonists. Okay, I think one of the most significant pictures that we can think of is the Stamp Act. And this particular picture is actually a political cartoon by the colonists to express their annoyance with the taxes. Um, so it's not the actual stamp that the British king imposed. It's a political cartoon that somebody published in a newspaper to kind of see, like, basically Stamp Act it's representative of death to them because all their own finances are being taken by the British Crown. Okay, kids, that is it for our notes today. I hope this helps you out, makes things a little bit clearer. Please let me know if you're having any issues online or on paper. If you need a little extra time to finish your work, that is no problem. I hope you guys have a fabulous day. I shall talk to you soon. Bye.